Hey everyone, I'm Ginger Tofu and I'm outside in my fort. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So, okay, so I actually slept in one of these forts for, I want to say, about a month. I think I knew I did a few days in the tent, but I just have a few, not my bed, but I have a few little things in here that are essential for forts. I have a little resting area, somewhere where you can have your snacks and drinks. And then I also have this, which is basically an inflatable pillow with a crack down the middle. And this is just outside in my yard. And obviously we have the tarp on the top for rain protection. You do get that a lot here. But this just actually shows you that you can build a fort wherever you can. So it doesn't have to be with blankets and it doesn't have to be with boxes. You can build a fort with a tarp and some rope. Okay, so I know that earlier I told you guys that I did a hike. So last weekend I went out to Ely and I did a 20-mile hike from Ely to Mildenhall, which is the town near where I live. And then on the second day, I did a 15-mile hike. So on Sunday, I went 15 miles from my house to Bury St. Edmunds near the Abbey Gardens. And I made a little video so that maybe one day you'll decide that you kind of want to come and visit England. It's pretty cool here.
Thanks, Ginger Tofu. So you've been an American Girl Scout in England for the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, so I moved here in 2016, so 4 years ago, and I originally joined this one cadet troop, and they decided it was too big, so they split it in half, and then I joined a different cadet troop, and then they ended up and then that cadet troop ended up crumbling because everyone moved away, and that's always a big issue with military kids is they move away over time, and no one's really here for long. And now I'm in troop 007, which we call the James Bond troop. It's on our t-shirt.
Thank you. So how do you normally meet with your troop?
So a really interesting thing that they do here is one of the rules that we have, we can't meet at people's houses. So we have to meet somewhere else. And we have a hut that we use, and we share it with the Boy Scouts, and we share it with Cub Scouts, and I don't think Venture uses it, because I'm the president, but Venture doesn't use it, but they can. And we also, we share the general building with the high school and with the Red Cross on the base.
Is the reason why you guys don't meet at houses for safety reasons, or?
I think it is. It's something with being off base and a large gathering of, I don't know. I don't really know why that's a rule.
Yeah. Okay. It must be expensive to do campouts and other trips in England. Do you have fall products and cookie sales to help you raise money? And what is cookie season like if you're in England?
So we don't have fall products, but we have cookie sales, and we do a lot of fundraising. So like bake sales, we do gift wrapping in the wintertime, things like that. So the other interesting thing about cookies is, again, with the not going to people's houses saying that we can't meet with people, we actually can't do door-to-door sales, because really the only door-to-door sales that you're going to get on base is really small, since there's going to be a large majority of the base housing has Girl Scouts in it. So we don't really do door-to-door. We do booth sales, and another interesting thing is you don't get nearly as many cookie boxes to sell as a Girl Scout as you would in the States. And I know that me and my sister, last year, collectively, the two of us, we sold 6,400 boxes. However, here, collectively, we can only sell around 200 to 300 boxes. So it's gone down dramatically, and cookie season only usually lasts for 2 to 3 weeks.
Really? That is pretty interesting, that the drastic change in cookie boxes sales. So what about summer camp? What is that like?
So summer camp here is just a tiny bit different. Because the countries here actually don't have very many Girl Scouts in them, so we have a huge kind of international camp. It's all American Girl Scouts, but it is international because everyone's coming from different countries, that we've actually had people from the States participate in before. And the last 3 or 4 years, it's been in Germany at Camp Freedom. The name of the camp is called Camp Lachenwald, which means laughing forest, in Germany. So it's always really interesting. You get to go and travel to a different country for just doing a Girl Scout thing. It's really, really cool to live here.
That's really cool and interesting that you get to go to like a different country and all that. I what do I say? I would have fun for sure with that.
Mm-hmm.
Are badges easier to earn in England than they are in the States?
So in England, I guess on some level it's a little easier. There's a little more leeway with like, okay, we can't do that because we can't do this in this country, or we don't have the availability to do that. And that's kind of, they'll slide that. They won't give you the badge because you can't do that. They'll just be like, sorry, you can't do that. It's gonna suck, but you can earn it later on when you move back, because we all move back eventually. But they almost hold us to a higher standard when we do it, because they know that we're overseas and that a lot of people actually perceive it as easier to be a Girl Scout here, and that it's easier to earn badges, and you get paid more sympathy maybe for like living in a different country and having to uproot your entire life and move to another country and put your roots back down again. But really, like, I mean, everyone here is like that.
Yeah.
Um,
For I understand that they give you more leeway and like let you off a little easier because, as you said, they like rip your roots out and then make you plant them back.
Yeah, sometimes. And then there's some things where they make us work harder for it. So like silver awards and gold awards and bronze awards and stuff like that, they'll make you work a little hard for it, because sometimes it's a little easier here to do that kind of stuff. And the people who are like approving it will be like, okay, so they're in England, their leaders might give them more help because they feel more sympathy. Like sometimes they do make you work a little harder for it.
Okay, and then so you're also a British Girl Guide, right? What is that like, and how is it different and similar from Girl Scouts?
So it's actually really fun. I didn't expect it to be as fun when I started. I think it's been about 3 years now. So I started roughly a year after I got here. And I remember my first meeting, and they weren't in there because they all have huts here that they share with the British Scouts. At least at my unit does. And I remember my first meeting, and they were in the Mildenhall Library. And I walk in, and I'm hanging out with the older guides and the ranger, because like the younger guides, and that's where my sister was brownies. So I come in, and we're doing a craft, and we just kind of sit there and we do a craft, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, and we earned a badge." And I was really confused. I was like, "Wait, we earned a badge?" And I mean, I made a lot of friends. And then kind of as you get older, because the age groups, it's a lot longer of a span, and they have less age groups, so there's only 4. So you've got rainbows, brownies, guides, and rangers. So when you're in guides from when you're 10 years old to when you're 14 years old. So as a 14-year-old, just like able to cross into rangers, it does get a little boring doing what the 11-year-olds are doing. And it's kind of, you get bored of it. You're like, I want to move up already. Like the younger kids are so mature. And then I know what my leaders did for me is they started, I started leading all of the meetings because I was getting so bored of doing them. So they would give me the patch for leading the meeting. And in some respects, it's a little different with safety. So like with Girl Scouts, we're perfectly safe, right? Everything is just perfectly safe. It's not like you're not allowed to touch the rake or you'll get a splinter there, right? But in Girl Guides, they're always overly safe with us. So I remember this one camp out, we were washing dishes, right? So we have our buckets out. And one of the leaders is helping this other girl scrub this dish and having trouble getting something off of it. And we're still waiting for our hot water. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we don't get hot water, we can't wash our dishes. And if we can't wash our dishes, then it takes longer to get to activity time. And we were at Guiditude, which is a 4-day camp, which is actually pretty rare here. They usually only do weekend camps. And there were some pretty fun activities. I didn't want anybody to miss it because my group was slow on dishes. So I went over, I get the kettle, which is just this metal kettle that they had boiled some water in, and I'm lugging it over to the wash basin. And this leader starts yelling at me. She's like, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to touch the kettle. Give that to me." And I was so scared. I was like, I'm 13 and I can't hold a kettle. I don't understand. And it just got really confusing for me. But I mean, you can just imagine someone in a British accent like just yelling at you, and it's just so scary sometimes. But
getting yelled at for touching a kettle.
it's really silly. Yeah, I don't know. They're really safe with us. They they almost didn't let us touch the hammers to like hammer our pegs in for our tents.
Okay.
And then I guess some other things about guides is that it's really old fashioned, and they just put in a new system but it's still kind of old-fashioned here, where they have us. I don't know. One of the badges is like you mix together flour and water, and you put it on the end of a stick, and you roast it over the fire. So a lot of them are like, "Where's this from?" and stuff like
Yeah.
badges where you do stuff how they would have cooked it in World War II or things like that, where it's kind of a little bit more old-fashioned.
Mhm.
So it's got a certain charm to it, I guess.
Okay. I bet. Oh my goodness. Excuse my dogs. I bet you had an amazing time living in England for the last several years. When you return to the States in a few months, I know you'll have some amazing news stories to tell your troop.